Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Coffee with the Critters, where I live stream every Sunday morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern on the Animal Behavior Center's Facebook page and YouTube channel. For those that may be new, my name is Laura Joseph, owner of the Animal Behavior Center. We are an international educational center where we teach people all over the world how to understand behavior using the science of behavior known as applied behavior analysis, and we do that through our work with animals, especially exotics. So you can find out more about what we do on our website, theanimalbehaviorcenter.com. There you will see all of our services, and you can also contact me if need be at Laura, Lara, at theanimalbehaviorcenter.com. So I am back from Florida with a lot of ideas, plans set into motion, so you're going to have to stay tuned. There is a lot we're working on. So let's go ahead and get started. Good morning, Stephanie. Good morning, Shelley. Good morning, everybody. One thing I wanted to discuss today, and this was based on a recent question, is one thing I try to never do with an animal or an animal's behavior. And that is, I never, before I'm interacting with an animal and I want to request a behavior, I try to never request a behavior that I cannot deliver a reinforcer for. I've got a couple things I want to talk about. First, define reinforcement. Good morning, Carol. Good morning, Ray. Good morning, everybody. Reinforcement is anything that happens after a behavior that causes the future rate of that behavior to maintain or increase. Sorry, I got a bit of a cold from traveling. So if I want that behavior to remain strong, I'm going to make sure before I request that behavior that I have a positive reinforcer to deliver. This helps keep behavior very strong, keeps a very clear line of communication, and on a continuous schedule of reinforcement, which is the strongest schedule of reinforcement. Good morning, Jeannie. Good morning, Katie. If continuous schedule of reinforcement means every single time the behavior is given, a reinforcer is given. That's what I use through shaping in the beginning stages of teaching behaviors. I will have that behavior on a continuous schedule of reinforcement. So before I even ask an animal to do something, I already have a positive reinforcer in mind that I'm going to use to deliver. And I see a lot of people requesting behaviors and not giving reinforcement. That does go into an intermittent schedule reinforcement, which I'm not going to get into, but I do want to give a couple of examples. Asking a dog to come to me on cue. If I'm asking a dog to come to me, I'm going to make sure I have a positive reinforcer in mind that I can deliver for the dog coming to me on cue. And I have to make sure that when I ask that dog to come to me, whatever that dog is doing at that moment, is my positive reinforcer going to match or beat the reinforcer behind the behavior the dog is already doing? So if the dog is, let's say, rolling through a pile of dog crap, that may not be a desired behavior of ours, but it is for the dog, or the dog wouldn't be doing it. So I have to deliver a positive reinforcer that is of higher value to that dog than that pile of dog crap. So that is if I want that behavior to remain very strong. And positive reinforcers are always defined by the animal. They're never defined by us. We just choose what they are at that particular moment in that particular environment, because they will change. And then we use them. So I want to give a couple different examples. Also, asking a bird to step up onto my hand. I am not going to ask that bird to step up onto my hand if I don't have a positive reinforcer to deliver for that behavior, if I want that behavior to remain strong. And with that being said, I'm thinking maybe in one of the future episodes, I do a live stream of Coffee with the Critters with Noodle. So it doesn't matter the species, it matters the behavior. Okay. And this is why I teach people how to understand behavior through working with exotics, because exotics tend to be less forgiving. So it really fine tunes our understanding of behavior. Adrian says, I really wish more people understood that the learner decides. Yeah. Most people, and this is very common, I see people request behavior and there's no reinforcer in it for the animal. I always try to put myself into the animal's position and into their thought process and say, why would the animal want to do this for me? When I can do that, I can better define the animal's positive reinforcers. And we don't reinforce the animal, we reinforce the behavior. So gave the example of a dog coming to me on cue, a bird stepping up onto my hand, and how about I like to give human examples? Asking a child to clean their room. Why would the child want to clean their room? I'm using the word child because these are stages of life for human beings where we are shaping behavior. The person is learning. If there is a positive reinforcer in it for the child, she will want to clean their room. I also wanted to give another human example because Steve Williams, who says he made a comment on last week's live stream that he's not getting notified of when I'm live streaming. So I told him, I said, turn on your notifications. He said, I do have them on, but I'm not getting notified of you live streaming. And I said, I don't know. This is an example of me experimenting with the environment. And I said, maybe it has to do with your engagement. If you engage more, click likes, make a comment, maybe when I live stream, it will show up for you. So I was thinking about that this morning. This is a form of negative reinforcement, not positive reinforcement. Negative reinforcement is when an animal or person gives a behavior to escape, avoid a consequence. And that is a perfect example of Steve Williams. So with that, if he does it. With that being said, I'm trying to keep Coffee with the Critters at 10 minutes. I just did it. A couple of things I want to tell you to be aware of. If you like the content in this live stream, take a look at our online memberships. We currently have 3 different very active ones. Foundations, where we're increasing enrichment, complexity of enrichment with a foraging toy for a dog. The advanced, which I'm training a fish right now. In the Parrot Project, which we are working on cooperative care of a parrot willingly accepting medication. Something I want to mention before we go, take a look at next week. Mark your calendars. Next Sunday, Coffee with the Critters will be a half an hour because I will be having guest Emily Cassell. She's also an animal trainer on here for a half-hour discussion, and we're going to be discussing understanding individual animal behavior through observing them with enrichment. So, also keep an eye out for our live drop-in classes. They're going to be very active in October and November, and hopefully for the rest of my working career. And you can also take a look at our other services we have online. And I noticed a lot of you paying attention to our nonprofit, the Sam I Can Foundation. We're going to have a lot we're getting ready to announce and getting ready to send out an email newsletter for Sam I Can. So you can go there and sign up for that. And with that, I want to say thank you, and I will see you next Sunday with Emily Cassell.